Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk of the Town podcast. If you enjoyed the video you see today, make sure to like it. And if you haven't already, or if you're new here, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 100 subscribers. As of recording this video right now, I'm at 82. You can't even ask my girlfriend. I about reset my YouTube and check my subscribers about 60 times a day. Literally, like, that's not even an exaggeration. I'm constantly checking it. It makes me so excited to see every time I get a new subscriber. You guys are so... I love your support so much. So thank you guys so much for coming on, watching the video, subscribing to the channel. And yeah, let's get into the first topic of today's video, which is I think Cincinnati is going to be the most disappointing team coming into this season. But I also have a runner-up for that, which I'm going to talk about here for a couple of minutes. And that's the Washington Commanders. I think could also be a very disappointing team. I'm disappointed they have not re-signed Terry McLaurin, and we're less than 2 weeks from the first game of the year, even though they're not playing in it, but we're that close to them playing, probably 10 days away or something like that. Yeah, they need to get him re-signed ASAP. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to be as bad as people say they are, to be completely honest with you. A lot of people are talking about, well, Michael Parsons and all the outside noise coming right now. Bro, let me just say this. When is there not a bunch of drama in the Cowboys organization in the offseason? When is it there? When is there not drama going on? My whole life, there's been stuff going on. Whether it's Dez Bryant, Zeke, Dak's contract, whatever, there's continuously something going on in the Cowboys organization. When you have Jerry Jones, that's what you get. And there's the documentary right now going on about the Cowboys. And my friend was telling me yesterday, because I want to watch it this weekend. To be honest with you, I was going to watch it this weekend and make some content about it next week. But he was mentioning about Emmitt Smith, and there was a bunch of drama back in the 90s, crazy stuff. I wish I could explain it better, but I just haven't watched it yet. And I forget who it was, but they went and threw their helmet at Jerry Jones in the locker room. And they didn't cut him, but he was pretty close to getting cut. Maybe it was Emmitt Smith who did that. I don't know. But if you know, make sure to leave it in the comments. There's always, when you go back to the 90s, this whole thing was back in the 90s. Emmitt Smith was literally in his prime when all this stuff was going on. It's every year. It's nothing new. I don't know why we're acting like this is all something new. I know the Michael Parsons thing. I'd like to see the Cowboys re-sign him, but it's definitely not trending in that direction. Also, with that, Michael Parsons is in a win-win situation with that as well. He knows that, because whether or not he is traded or if he's still technically on the team when they play Philadelphia in a couple weeks, I think they're going to get clobbered on defense, and he's going to be like, okay, now you need to pay me because look at you guys without me. Or he'll go somewhere else and get paid. No matter what happens to him, he's going to get paid and be the star player wherever he goes. So it doesn't matter. He doesn't care wherever he goes. So the Cowboys might end up paying for that, and they're going to end up paying for him at some point. So, but I don't think the Cowboys are going to be that bad. I think the Giants, and the reason why I'm mentioning all this is because obviously they're in their division, so they have some tough division foes. The Giants, actually, I think are going to be competitive. They have a hell schedule, though. Abdul Carter, no matter whether he's in his rookie year or not, I think he's going to be great. But he is doing against the Eagles' offensive line twice a year. He has some tough matchups on that schedule. He's still a rookie. So, your pass rush, even with Dexter Lawrence, they have a Kayvon Thibodeau. They have a pretty crazy pass rush. They have some decent cornerbacks. Jackson Dart, whether or not they play Russell Wilson all year or not, their offense actually looks like they have a heartbeat at least. So we'll see with that. But back to the Commanders' point, they have a tough division who I think is going to be pretty darn good. And they win a lot of one-score games, comeback games last year, crazy endings. The Hail Mary against Chicago is just an example. They actually played against Dallas last year. You guys remember, like, the crazy kick returns and stuff? It was just nuts, this stuff going on in that game. So they had a lot of, I don't want to necessarily use the word miracles, but kind of miracles, to be honest with you. So, and it's weird. They have a really weird roster because they've rebuilt within like a year or two, but they're one of the oldest rosters in the league. Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler, Terry McLaurin's in his 30s, Zach Ertz, that's just to name a few of their kind of older players. But Lattimore's kind of getting older now. It's kind of it's a strange scenario for the Commanders. So we'll see. Now, by disappointing, I don't necessarily mean they're going to finish 5-12 and be looking to pick number one overall, but people have them in Super Bowl talks, and I think they're in the top 10 odds to win the Super Bowl. A lot of them predicting to finish 11-6. They could very well finish 9-8. I mean, they could. That division's tough. Terry McLaurin's still ain't there yet, which I'm not a fan of. So that's my runner-up. They could be disappointing, and even if they finish 10-7 and don't make the playoffs, that's a disappointing season. That's what I mean by disappointing. I don't mean they're going to be 6-11 and be out by week 13 and June 14. They're going to be out of the playoff contention or the playoff race. I don't mean that, but they could finish the game short and be 10-7. That can be the reality of their season, maybe. So we'll see with that. Cincinnati, I want to talk about them quickly as well. The main point of it is just their defense. I know we've all heard it 20 times, 100 times, whatever. And Cincinnati fans are sick of hearing it. They're like, our offense is so good. I don't know why people keep talking about our defense. Why is no one nitpicking the Chiefs receivers? Whatever it is, you can nitpick any team. No team's flawless. No team's perfect at all. Every single one, whether it's the Ravens, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, they all have a flaw in one of their units somewhere. But your defense as a whole is an issue. And when Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase on the complete other side of the ball, that's a thing. When people bring up, well, the Chiefs receiving crew isn't great. People talk about that. Their receiving crew isn't great. They can't win anything with that. That's like Patrick Mahomes throwing on the ball. So it doesn't matter how bad they are. They're going to produce no matter what. And Andy Reid's coaching the offense. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. But when Joe Burrow, your best players, are on the complete other side of the ball, and your head coach is an offensive head coach anyway, your defense is going to look worse. And they can put up 30-plus points a game. Their defense is going to constantly give up a ton of points. So they're going to struggle. Now, by that, I don't mean they're going to finish 6-11 and be picking top 10. But they could finish 9-8 or 10-7 in an extremely competitive division and competitive AFC and miss the playoffs. That is a disappointing year for the Bengals. It's 10-7 and missing the playoffs. Because people talk about this team with Super Bowl aspirations. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase in their prime, T. Higgins, the same. But they can put up as much points as they want. They've seen it last year. Jamar Chase was literally the Triple Crown winner. It's going to be hard to top that. Joe Burrow was an MVP candidate. He may have won the MVP if they would have made the playoffs, at least. Even if they finished 10-7 and made the playoffs, he may have won the MVP, to be honest with you. So I think they could be very disappointing going into this year. That defense is no joke. Trey Hendrickson it's looking like he's officially going to get traded. We'll see with that as of August 22nd. So I do have the Bengals being disappointing. I do. I'm not seeing it. Shamar Stewart, they're kind of banking on Shamar Stewart being their savior on defense. This is the guy can even play or not. He's a rookie for one. And we're really relying on him to save your season on defense. I don't know. I'm not a fan. And especially because I'm not anti-playing your starters in the preseason. I loved when the Patriots did it this preseason, to be honest with you. I really did. Even though they didn't play him yesterday at all, they played their second and third stringers for pretty much the entire game. Their third stringers really the entire game. But Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow played a lot of snaps in the preseason because, they don't want to get off to a cold start like they had the last couple of years. And they need them to be warmed up because they're going to need to put up 30-plus points a game. They know that. They know that deep down. So that's why they're playing a lot of snaps. Next topic I have is who's going to be the face of the league when LeBron retires and why it could be more of an issue than people think. One, whether you think LeBron is still the face of the league or not, even in his 40s, he definitely is. LeBron's the most talked about player there is. He's on the Lakers for one, which says a lot. One of the most, probably the most valuable organization in the league besides the Celtics. You could flip-flop either one of those around. But LeBron, KD, Steph, that era's coming to a close. It is. It is sad to see because that's my lifetime in a nutshell right there, man. Those guys led to some great moments in my life and a lot of people's lives. That's for sure. That's an era that's going to be talked about for a very, very, very long time. That 2000s to 2010s era, that was some good stuff right there. And that's coming to a close. So who is going to be the face of the league? Steph and KD will probably play for a little longer after LeBron retires. LeBron may retire after this year. Who knows? We don't know yet. He's going to want a farewell tour for one. That's for sure. LeBron can say what he wants. He loves that attention. He's going to want a farewell tour, a farewell season, whatever it is. So, and don't be surprised if the Lakers do end up making the finals. If he says, well, this is it for me this year. And that finals, they go on some miracle run in the finals and he ends it on a finals championship. That would make his career look pretty, wouldn't make it look good. It already looks pretty damn incredible, but man, that would be a hell of an end to a career right there, to an already illustrious career. So it's going to be hard for them to push and face because a lot of their players are kind of hard names to pronounce, especially if you're not a fan of the NBA. Even if you're not a fan of the NBA, you know LeBron when he walks in the room. You know Curry when he walks in the room. Probably even Kevin Durant, to be honest with you. Michael Jordan, the same. But if Giannis Antetokounmpo were to walk in the room, obviously he's like 6'11". You know he's a professional athlete of some sort, but you wouldn't know his name. You wouldn't know who he was. Same thing with Nikola Jokic. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's Canadian. A lot of these guys aren't playing for Team USA. And a lot of fans love that when those guys are born and bred in the USA. They love that. That's what's kind of hurting baseball, too. So a lot of the players are foreign. I'm not necessarily saying I'm like that, but I'm just saying for the sport as a whole, it is like that. That's just the God's honest truth. Especially when you're playing in the USA, you want to see your best players be American. That's just the truth with the fan base. I'm not necessarily saying I care because honestly, I don't really. These guys are freak athletes. I love watching the sport regardless. But for a majority of the fan base, that's just the truth of what it is. To be honest with you, Victor Wembanyama, they're trying to push him up. It's going to be kind of tough. I think a guy they could, honestly, I think they're going to push. They already have. It's Cooper Flagg. But we have to see if he's even going to be a star in the league. It's looking like he is, but things will go downhill. Look at Zion Williamson's career. That dude was supposed to be the face of the league. He's just torn out to be a complete, utter disaster in the NBA. Just, wow, what a waste of talent, a career right there to this point. I mean, he's been in the league 6 years now and just made nothing of it at all, to be honest with you, besides injuries. And he's had some crazy allegations outside of the sport. If you know, you know. But I think Cooper Flagg is probably a candidate. Jokic doesn't really necessarily want to be the face of the league, to be honest with you. You remember after his championship win back a couple of years ago, he was like, oh, there's some parade. You know, he wants to go back and race his horses. A lot of people, that's the kind of the running joke with Nikola Jokic is he kind of just wants to go up and race his horses. This guy's tearing the whole league up and he doesn't even want to be there. That's the running joke. That's going to be hard to make that the face of your league. Everyone respects him and knows he's great, but you know he doesn't want to be the face of the league. Giannis is a quirky, a fun guy, but at this point, he's kind of getting older. Not older, he still has a few years of his prime left, but does he want to be the face of the league? And they tried to push him out to be that, but it kind of has not worked quite as well. I think Cooper Flagg is going to be the guy. And Wembanyama, I think they're going to have a tough time getting him to be the face of the league. I say this, if your name's hard to pronounce, they're not going to get you. I mean, it's not hard to pronounce, but to most people, they see the name and they're like, what? Who in the world? So I think Cooper Flagg, they're going to try to make him the guy. And, that's that. I think that's going to be their main narrative, and they're really going to hope he works. So we'll see with that. I'd be curious because they need a face. They need another face after LeBron retires. So that league's going to be in trouble. You already got an older LeBron and KD and Steph playing. That league's still in trouble, even with them still playing. So we'll see. Next topic I have is the Giants versus the Patriots. Just go over that briefly for about a minute or two. I watched it yesterday. A lot of hype around the Giants, a lot of hype around Jackson Dart. I'm still skeptical of Jackson Dart. He looked pretty good yesterday. His receivers had some drops. I will give him that on a stat sheet. I think it was like 6 for 12 passing, but his receivers, like I said, had some drops in there. Guys, he played against the third stringers on the Patriots. Tommy DeVito looked incredible. I think it was like 200 yards, 17 for 20 passing, 3 touchdowns. He looked really good. Third stringers are starters. That's still a pretty good stat line, no matter what. Good for him. New York wants their quarterback so bad. They were pushing this Jackson Dart narrative like crazy, and I completely understand. Jackson Dart was playing good for my team. I'd be like, dude, or if showing any glimpses of hope, I'd be like, we finally got our quarterback. I see them coming under the Patriots posting, we own you, this and that. It's our year, Super Bowl year. I'm like, you guys have a hell schedule. There's no doubt about that. You guys have an absolute hell schedule. A lot of young players. You guys have like 4 different quarterbacks. There's still a lot of question marks in that organization. And I'd like to see Jackson Dart throwing when he has TJ Watt pressuring him in his face and Cameron Hayward in their offensive line, like their offensive line is getting overpowered by those two, and Jalen Ramsey's in coverage. I'd like to see him make a throw on that first before Marcellus Dial and the Patriots, where he's throwing on that on a free play. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see that a little more first before I really call him the franchise quarterback, to be completely honest with you. So that's kind of all I really have to say. There's definitely a bright future in New York. They have a lot of good pieces there. But before we talk about the quarterback position and winning, let's at least get to 9 wins first and not pick top 5 in the draft. Let's at least get there first before and see whether Jackson Dart can really play against starters first. That's all I got to say, because the players they had in, Tommy DeVito looked like he was a Pro Bowl quarterback yesterday. 17 for 20, 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. So let's push back a little bit. Let's push back just a little bit. Next topic, again, I'm going to go over it a little quick. I got a little bit of a busy afternoon. Not necessarily saying that I'm rushing or anything, but I'm just saying I just got a little busy today. Michael Penix Jr. and some worries. And could he also be a dark horse MVP candidate as well? So the only thing that's worrisome that people aren't talking about in the narrative of the Falcons keeping Kirk Cousins, they're like, why are they keeping him? Just offload him, get rid of him. It doesn't matter. We have Penix. People forget with Penix. This is his injury history. 2018, tore his right ACL in October. 2019, tore his right non-throwing shoulder, missing multiple games. In 2020, tore his right ACL again. And in 2021, he experienced an AC separation in his left throwing shoulder, ending his season. And then he played 2 full healthy seasons. He led the nation in passing yards in 2023. But I remember watching that championship game, he was dealing with an injury in that game. So he's very injury prone. He's just some major injuries in his college career. So that's worrisome. And that was talked about coming out of the draft for him was, okay, he has a bit of an injury history. We do have to worry with that. But that's kind of forgotten right now. As with Kirk Cousins, like, why don't we just get rid of him? Just offload him. He's making it awkward, whatever. We're paying him all this money. I'd rather have Kirk Cousins as my backup than having to deal with like Desmond Ridder or whoever they got. I don't even know. Don't they have like Easton Stick or something? I'd rather have Kirk Cousins as my backup quarterback. Because if it goes kind of like how Penix's career has gone so far, it's looking like he's probably going to miss a couple of games. And he's just an injury-prone guy in a couple of games in the NFL. When you're the Falcons, and this is kind of a make-or-break year for your team, you have a lot of talent on that team. A couple of games means everything. It means absolutely everything, especially when the last couple of weeks, you and Tampa are going to be fighting to win that division. And I can't necessarily imagine ever finish as second as they could make the playoffs. We'll see how the standings go. But the NFC is going to be pretty competitive. Atlanta is one of the better rosters in the NFC, so they should be able to win something. But if Michael Penix stays healthy with Bijan, if Pitts plays to his potential, London, Darnell Mooney, man, he could put up some serious numbers and be in the MVP comp, though. And if they go on to go 12-5 or something, and he really looks like he could be the Falcons guy, he could win MVP this year. That's talking absolute best case scenario for Atlanta, but I don't see why he couldn't. I actually don't see why he couldn't be a dark horse MVP candidate. Some freaking weapons in Atlanta. And he shows when he can stay healthy, and they have a pretty decent offensive line, man, he's going to be slinging the rock everywhere. He's not necessarily a run-first guy. He's definitely a pass-first quarterback. Like, he can move, but he's not necessarily the best runner in the world. There's a beautiful ball, for one. Michael Penix does a gorgeous football. He's a very accurate guy, very accurate quarterback. Lefties can be kind of weird in the NFL. Some receivers don't necessarily like it, but I'm sure they'll be fine. We'll see. That's all I say is we'll see. I think he could definitely be a dark horse MVP candidate coming into this year. I really like him coming into this year. Just you have to hope he stays away from the injuries that he's had his whole pro career to this point. And I count that as college. I count pro career as college. Last topic today. If Lamar wins a Super Bowl, how will it be talked about and what will change for him? So it's funny with Lamar because he's kind of talked about as the Joel Embiid and the James Harden of the NFL right now. He puts up these MVP numbers. He wins MVP. He can't win in the playoffs. You know, Joel Embiid's more injury prone. Joel Embiid's definitely dealt with more injuries the last year or so. But when he played, MVP candidate every year. He won an MVP. Just can't win in the playoffs. Constantly getting bounced out in the second round of the playoffs. Ending in disappointment. But they're putting up great regular season numbers. But if they can win a couple championships or even a championship, Joel Embiid's and James Harden's career would be completely different. And that same goes for Lamar. If Lamar even got to a Super Bowl, if Harden and Joel Embiid even got to a championship, and Lamar even just got to a Super Bowl, their careers would be talked about completely different. Well, James Harden did actually get to a championship with OKC, but he wasn't the main leader on that team. I forgot about that. A lot of people do forget that. He was in an NBA Finals, you know. James Harden was in an NBA Finals, but he wasn't the main guy on that team necessarily, but he was still there. But the Joel Embiid's the same. You know, he never made a championship, but could you imagine he did? Lamar, if he made a championship, or even especially if he won one, you probably have to put him in the top 10 quarterbacks of all time. You seriously probably would. I mean, he's the greatest dual threat quarterback I've ever seen. He's better than Cam, career-wise. Maybe if you go prime for prime, you could argue maybe Cam was better as a dual threat quarterback in his peak. But I'd still maybe lean Lamar. Now, I'd probably lean Cam a tad. But career-wise, I'm absolutely taking Lamar. Lamar's the greatest dual-threat quarterback in the league, in league history. Career-wise and everything, he just is. Then I don't know if I see anyone eclipsing him. You could maybe put Josh Allen in the category. If Josh Allen were to win a Super Bowl, you could maybe put him as the greatest dual-threat quarterback. But Lamar, he could easily be a top 10 quarterback. He gets to a Super Bowl this year. If he wins one especially, I'd put him 10 or 9. I'd probably end up putting him over Marino. Seriously, I would. He is the passer he's turned into, the runner he is. He's shown that he can win. Marino never got a ring. I don't see why you couldn't put him in there. Breeze only has 1 ring. He's going to year 7 this year. So his numbers are starting to get up there. By the time his career ends, I think he'll be a solidified top 10 quarterback. It's pretty crazy. It is. It's just, his career is going to be so different if he wins a ring or even just gets to a Super Bowl this year. He has to. There's a year to do it. It's this year. He has got to do it. He doesn't have a choice. Lamar literally has no choice but to make a Super Bowl this year. His legacy's on the line this year. No, a lot of the Ravens players, their legacy's on the line as well. So a lot going on for Lamar. Hopefully he can get to a Super Bowl, win one this year, and we'll be talking about him completely different. It won't even be in the same stratosphere with Josh Allen anymore. So it'll be pretty nuts. That's it for today's episode. Again, if you're new here, I do not record on weekends. So I will be back on Monday recording for you guys. Hopefully everyone has a great weekend, and I'll see you guys on Monday.